Ok, intentemos ver esto. Se llama ¿Qué es lo más tonto que ha dicho un estadounidense? Compilación de TikTok de la biblioteca de Edgar de León. A darle. Prepárense para leer, supongo.
I'm kind of curious. What is the dumbest thing an American has ever said to you?
Okay, so
Llamarse a sí mismo americanos para iniciar, perro. El continente es más grande que solo su pequeña región. Ya bájele a eso. Aunque he escuchado que ahora, para joderlo, los están llamando europeo-americano. Ya saben cómo a ellos les encanta básicamente aislar a los otros grupos en plan de si eres una persona negra, tú eres un afroamericano. Si eres una persona de Latinoamérica, eres un latinoamericano. Y así constantemente. Pues para joderlos a ellos, pues lo estamos llamando euroamericano. O europeo-americano. Porque todos vinieron de allá. ¿Para qué nos mentimos? Y les jode, les arde.
studied abroad in America in 2014. Yes, I'm that old. And I got talking to a guy in a
Okay.
bar, and he asked me that age-old question if I ride kangaroos to school. And I was like, no, obviously I don't ride kangaroos to school. And
Pero no me vas a mentir a que te gustaría hacerlo. Se nota una forma muy cool de ir a clases.
then he asked me how long I'd been living in America for, and I said, oh, about 2 months at this point. And he's like, wow, your English is amazing for someone who hasn't been here that long. To which I had to laugh and say, we speak
Gracias,
English in
chicos. Muchas
Australia.
gracias.
And he like wasn't even ashamed. He was like, oh wow, really? You learn something new every day.
Nunca voy a olvidar ese artículo que decía, ¿por qué los europeos hablan en inglés y no un idioma nativo europeo? Era gringo, obviamente. En plan de... ¡Wow! ¿Por qué será? Misterios de la vida, ¿eh?
Okay, so I tell this story like all the fucking time. But basically, I'm from Spain, which is in Europe, for those that don't know. And my senior year of high school, I was a foreign exchange student in Vegas, in Nevada. And I was in my math class, and this girl that was like white, blue eyes, blonde hair. And she comes to me, she's like,
Comentario impopular. Los asiáticos suelen ser más blancos que los europeos. He visto a gente asiática jodidamente, innecesariamente blanca, extremadamente blanca. Por lo menos más que europeos.
she said something like,
Son como amarillos. No.
is there a lot of people that look like me in Spain? So I said, yeah, most people look like me, but there are some people that look like you because you're just blonde, blue eyes, like you said. And she was like, yeah, because you guys are not white or some shit like that. And I was like, I am white, like,
Sí, es
hello?
bastante blanca.
And she was like, yeah, but not really white. But there's some white people because you guys were colonized. And I was like, honey, we are the colonizers.
So I'm German, right? Fine.
Imagínate decirle eso a un pinche español. Español ríe en oro azteca.
5 years ago, I was an exchange student in Mississippi, in the south of America.
Bueno, es porque para los gringos el tema de tu raza no es algo que esté relacionado con el lugar en el que naciste, sino es un tema más genético. O sea, tu etnia viene más de la genética que de cualquiera que sea que haya sido el lugar que vienes. O sea, puedes ser la persona más blanca del mundo, puedes ser tan blanco que puedes camuflarte fácilmente con una pared, o ni siquiera eso. Sobresales porque tu pureza blanquecina es incluso superior a cualquier cosa que pueda llegar a crear el ser humano. Pero si naciste en Latinoamérica, tú no eres blanco, tú eres... No, va a ser en plan de... Pero pues... No, ¿sabes? Tú no eres un blanco puro como nosotros. Porque tienes genes latinos.
I was sitting in this classroom, this girl asking me, oh, you from Germany? I was like, yeah. She's like, do you guys have cars in Germany? I was like, are you serious? She was like, yeah. I was like, we invented cars, what are you talking about?
Oh my god, I can make a lot of these because I studied in the US as a non-American for like a year, so I've heard a lot of crazy shit, but here's one of them. So I was with a group of Americans and we were discussing whether or not we had seen a celebrity in public yet, because we were in New York, and sometimes in New York you can just see like Zendaya walking around the street. And I had just gotten there, so I had not seen a celebrity yet. So I was telling them how in Prague that doesn't happen. But then I told them that I had seen...
Ah, por cierto, luego se ponen muy raros porque he escuchado a gente decir que, oh, de hecho el judaísmo es una raza. Que el Islam también es considerado una raza, por lo menos algunos lo suelen contar como tal. Y es como, no, esas son religiones, son fees, uno puede convertirse a ellas. Pero ahí va.
a famous Czech YouTuber.
Te referirás a los israelitas, pero no todos los judíos son de Israel. Tampoco todos los musulmanes son de Israel. Pregúntale a los tipos en tu universidad. No, pero musulmanes no, de Israel no. Es que son de Medio Oriente, coño, perdón. Ahí va, así que...
YouTuber walking around my neighborhood once, and this girl was like, wait, Czech YouTuber? I don't get it. And I was like, what do you not get? And she was like, does he make videos in Czech? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, how does he do that? YouTube is in English. And I was like, no, what? And she was like, yeah, like the videos in YouTube are English because YouTube is in English. Hello, it's for English speakers. And I was like, I had to explain to this girl that most of YouTube is not in English and that like the whole world uses YouTube in their own language. And she was still confused.
So, in 2013, I went...
Ah, pero pregúntale el nombre de todas las Kardashian. Dios, te la van a dar en orden alfabético, te lo juro.
Went to America for the first time ever. It was to New York, and I absolutely loved it. I went for on a family holiday. And while I was there, at one point, I started talking to this American girl.
Oh.
And the second I started speaking, she was like, oh my god, like, you have an accent. And I said, yes, I have an accent. And she goes, yeah, but like, your accent's different. And I said, yeah, of course it's different. I'm from the UK. I have a British accent. It's different to yours. And she goes, wait, I have an accent? To which I said, yes. You have an American accent.
Sí.
I'm British. I've got a...
Y Dios, qué marcadísimo es el acento gringo, por Dios. A veces se me hace insufrible.
British accent. You're American. You got an American accent. A French person would have a French accent, and a German person would have a German accent. And this girl looked so confused and so bewildered. She just was not understanding that concept.
Jean-Paul 0901 me quiere por X100. Hola Leo, te sigo desde que te reventabas huevos con Espartano y Antonella.
Hola,
te quiero
Jean-Paul.
mucho, perrito pechonzo. Recuerdo que veía tus videos de Dota, y ahora de Martillo de Guerra 40.000.
Gracias por estar aquí.
And it just made me think, how closed off are you guys to the real world? Like, there's more than just America. Come on.
Okay, so it was 2017 and it was my birthday and I wanted to see With Confidence and Movements. So
Okay.
I went to Houston for this concert right here. I also kind of like Knucklepuck, like I knew a few songs. So at the end, I met the lead singer, Nick.
Cool.
And I was chatting with him and I told him that I went from Mexico to the concert. And he was so shocked and he asked me like, oh, how did you get to the US from Mexico? And I was like, oh, I flew here like on a plane. And he didn't believe me.
¿Por qué todos los mexicanos son ilegales?
He was like, you have planes in Mexico? And I was like, yeah, we have airports, international airports.
Mira, para ser sigue siendo estúpido, pero para ser completamente justo, la cantidad de inmigrantes ilegales mexicanos en Estados Unidos tiene que ser tan grande que uno te venga y te diga, de hecho viene en avión, debe ser una locura, tiene que ser algo bastante raro de oír.
Airports. So I explained to him how you could like travel to almost every part of the world from Mexico in a plane. And he was so shocked that there were airports and planes in Mexico, he just couldn't believe it. Yeah.
Porque ellos creen que ustedes viven como en la casa de los dibujos. ¿Recuerdan ese episodio? Tienen que darnos 5,000 millones de pesos. Oh no, esos son como $5.
I'm gonna do this video in English because it's so hilarious and I just want people to know. Because ironically, not many Americans know this. So I went to high school in Florida. When I first got there, I'm Latina, Hispanic. I don't remember if I was in a classroom or at lunch. I think it was before the class started in a classroom. And to some people, even though my English can be okay, gringos can tell I'm a foreigner. Oops. So this white girl that was in front of me, she heard me talking to somebody and she asked where I was from. So I said, oh, I'm from Puerto Rico. And then she went, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Why? It must have been so harsh for you to get here as an immigrant.
¿Cree que Puerto Rico es Cuba?
Not the colonizer not knowing they colonized me. No, I'm an U.S. citizen since 1917 because Puerto Rico was invaded by the U.S. in 1898. But Puerto Rico is not in America. Diablo, que tipa más bestia, holy shit.
I'm late to the trend, but I need to tell this. So a long time ago, I was on vacations with my family in Mexico. And usually we have direct flights from Mexico to Lisbon. Yes,
Okay.
I'm Portuguese. And yeah, we had a direct flight from Lisbon to Cancun, and we were supposed to also have a direct flight from Cancun to Lisbon, but there were problems. So instead, we needed to do a stop in the United States.
Voy a ser completamente honesto. Quiero ir a los Estados Unidos. La mitad de las razones es para comprar cosas baratas, cosas de Warhammer, algo de ropa, etcétera, etcétera, etcétera. Quiero aprovechar los descuentos. Y la otra mitad es para ver si la gente es realmente como es. O sea, quiero... El atractivo... No hay atractivos turísticos en ese lugar. No hay realmente nada que me llame la atención, salvo la propia gente. Quiero ver si de verdad son como están mencionando. Barata. Él cree que yo gano en soles.
So when we stop at the United States and they ask to see our passports, things got confusing. Because when the policemen took our passports for the control for checking, they said that we could not...
Porque siempre está eso de que, ok, mira, hay videos donde ellas han tenido su propia experiencia, está bien. Puede que hayan sido cosas de una vez, 2 veces quizás. Y siempre están los videos de, oh, dime 3 países aparte de Estados Unidos. Y se quedan callados, pero siempre pueden ser personas que han elegido a dedillo para saber si son, ya sabes, para hacer el video más interesante. Por lo que quiero probarlo yo mismo, quiero ver por mí mismo si es así, quiero ver qué me dice, quiero ver cómo me van a tratar. No me voy a quedar allí más de una semana, es verdad. Así que, eso.
Pass because our passports were wrong. He said that where it says country, it should be Spain because Portugal is not a country, but a city from Spain.
So I check into a hotel in Boston, and he asks to see my ID. So I give it to him, and he notices I'm from Toronto. And he says, a lot of you Canadians come all the way down here. And I see a lot of people from Ontario. Is Ontario near Toronto? And I go, well, actually, Toronto's in Ontario. And he goes, really? Huh. Boy, your country's bigger than I thought it was. And I said, well, actually, land-wise, Canada is the 2nd biggest country in the world. And he goes, Canada? No. I'm like, yeah, I mean, you can look it up. He's like, no. I go, well, what did you think the 2nd biggest country land-wise in the world was? And he goes, I don't know. Africa? And I go, Africa is a continent. And he goes, well, yeah, if you put it that way.
Me encanta cómo son incapaces de admitir que están equivocados. Simplemente no pueden. No hay ninguna razón en su cabeza. No hay ninguna cosa que puedas decir que haga que digan, oye, quizás no he entendido muy bien o quizás no tengo toda la información. No. Viejo, tú estás mal. Yo sé más de tu país y del mundo de lo que puedes llegar a imaginar, baby.
So I am Italian and I go to college in the US. I was on a phone call with my advisor to schedule my classes for spring semester, okay? So at some point he goes like, wait, you're Italian. I love Paris. I've been there a few years ago. And I told him, yeah, I love Paris too. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful place. I've been there a few years ago too. And he goes like, I also took some French classes in high school too. And I was like, yeah, French. Yeah, I know French because I studied it at school. And he goes like, wait, you studied it at school? And I goes like, yeah, I studied it because in Italy, we don't speak French and Paris isn't in Italy. So, yeah, that's it. In Italy, we speak Italian. In the capital of Italy is Rome. And he goes like, oh my God, how could I forget?
Professor,
What is the dumbest thing an American has ever said to you?
Excuse me, why do you speak Spanish? Well, a lot of my friends speak Spanish, so I decided to teach myself. It's not hard. You don't look Mexican. I'm not. I'm black. Wait, so you're black and you speak Spanish? And your English seems okay. Yes, black people can learn other languages. Well, I mean, like, I guess, but, like, it doesn't make sense that you speak Spanish if you're not Mexican.
¡Ah! ¡Apropiación cultural! Te estás apropiando de la cultura de otros por hablar su idioma. ¿No deberías estar rapeando en una esquina? Esa es tu cultura, abrázala.
I was in an Uber. He told me that, what are the last 2 letters of COVID? ID. There's microchips in the vaccine, and there's your proof. He continued to say, COVID-19, first letter of the alphabet is A, 9th letter.
Así de random, así porque sí. Esa es su forma de iniciar una conversación. Taxistas en Latinoamérica. ¿Y has visto el juego de esta noche? Taxistas en Estados Unidos. ¿Sabía que nos ponen nuestro chip en las vacunas los reptilianos esos del Vaticano?
Is AI. They're turning us into robots. He also said that the vaccine is full of dead babies, aborted babies.
Obviamente.
And he doesn't want to be injected with a black girl baby. And then he ended it with telling me the pandemic's not real, and started taking his mask off, and I told him, drop me off immediately. He accused me of not being able to handle.
No, mira, la verdad yo hubiera esperado. Yo me hubiera sentado allí, calladito en silencio, y ver cómo escala su locura. Soy estadounidense, obviamente voy a tener un arma en la mano. Así que vería cómo escala su locura lentamente. O sea, ya llegó la parte en la que se quitaba la mascarilla. Solo faltaba que parara el auto, saliera y se pusiera a gritar en plan de: ¡a mí no me atraparán, jodidos chinos! Y yo aprovechar para robarle el auto.
No pudo resistirse.
Y luego, cuando vengan a preguntarme: oye, ¿ese es tu auto? Yo decir sí. La otra tipa va a decir: no, obviamente me lo has robado. ¿A quién le van a creer? ¿A mí que estoy cuerdo? ¿O a la chica antena 5G causa cáncer? No lo sé, Bob. No lo sé.
The truth.
I'm an American that has recently moved to London, and I've had multiple American friends ask me what language they speak here in England. One even asked me if I had to learn French to live here in England.
So I was in San Diego last year. I was at a service station, just filling up the car with petrol.
Wow, me encanta cómo básicamente es como estar hablando constantemente con una persona que acaba de fumarse su 4º o 5º porro. Creo que Snoop Dogg sería más elocuente y muchísimo más... Bueno, es porque tiene experiencia también. Que es como comparar un aprendiz Jedi con el maestro Yoda. Allí sí me he equivocado.
Petrol. And I go up to the cashier and I'm like, oh yeah, just the petrol, thanks, mate. And he goes, oh shit, is that an accent? Where are you from? I'm just from Australia. Oh wow, that's like a really long way away. So, did you fly here or did you drive here? I flew? Yeah, it's probably a little bit too far to drive, isn't it? I think about this all the bloody time.
A ver, puede ser que no lo intentaste con suficientes ganas. Quizás sí se puede. Cuando te dicen que tu auto es híbrido, va más allá de lo que puedes imaginar, hermano.
Like a howdy?
Es como hablar con extraterrestres, ¿sí? No, los extraterrestres tendrían un sentido. Es como hablar con una persona que está constantemente estoneado por tremendo choque de marihuana.
I mean, no shade to Americans because I do dumb shit all the time.
No al nivel de lo que nos vas a decir, estoy seguro.
But I once had a lady comment on a post when I said, thank God it's Friday, and she said, it's Thursday, hun. And I said, no, in Australia it's Friday. And then she accused me of gaslighting her.
¿Ves a lo que les decía? En plan de, ¿qué hubiera hecho una persona normal? Y dice, ay, coño, era de otro lugar. O directamente buscar si era cierto y no continuar con la conversación. ¿Pero qué hacen los gringos? Tú estás mal, yo estoy bien, soy incapaz de equivocarme. ¿Ah?
To which I answered, I'm going to blow your mind when I tell you that it's actually summer in Australia too, while you're in winter. And then she called me a terrorist.
I'm kind of curious, what is the dumbest thing an American has ever said to you?
Okay, so, true story.
When I was a teenager, I was in Arizona visiting my best friend who lived out there, and I was there for the summer. And we met this girl, and she complimented my top, and she was like, "Oh, I really like your top. Where'd you get it?" And I was like, "Singapore." She goes, "Oh, is that a mall?" And I look at her and I was like, "No, it's in Asia."
Para ser completamente justos, hay un montón de centros comerciales y tiendas con nombres absolutamente estúpidos y súper básicos. Así que puedo entender que al principio se haya podido equivocar, ¿ok? Hay que ser justos aquí. Sí me creo que existe un centro comercial llamado Singapur.
And I kid you not, she goes, "Is Asia a mall?"
¡Esa! Ahí está. Esa es la bomba. Esa es la parte donde ya no hay excusa, baby. Ahí está. Los 30 de IQ. Liberados, sueltos. Precioso. Baby, estás en llamas.
So I'm from Germany, but I've lived in Switzerland for my entire life until 2015 when my family moved to the US. And I spent 2 years living there, so I've heard a lot of dumb shit, but here's the worst of it.
Wow.
So one time I was with a group of people and I was on the phone with my friend in Germany, and when we hung up, I said, "Good night, sleep well." And this guy is like, so he goes, "Why is she going to bed? It's like 3 p.m. And so I had to explain that because she's in Germany, she's 6 hours ahead because of time zones. And he looks really confused, like, and then he asked me, if Germany is 6 hours ahead, why did nobody ever warn them about 9/11 happening?
No hay palabra en Ent, élfico o el lenguaje de los hombres que pueda describir lo tremendamente pendejo que eres, amigo.
This guy literally thought that time zones meant that you could time travel.
Sé que los alemanes vienen del futuro.
So I was talking to this guy. We had known each other for like 3 months, I think, and we were talking on the phone, and I was talking about my parents, and he was like, "Oh, by the way, I have a question. How come your parents speak Arabic?" I was like, "Well, it's their native language." And he was like, "Oh, really? I did not know people in that area spoke Arabic. Thought they only spoke Spanish."
Son marrones, así que todos tienen que venir del mismo lugar,
Yo soy
¿no?
tú y tú me quiere por X100. Un gringo intentó estrellar un tren contra un barco porque no creía en el COVID. Descarriló el tren a una distancia de 3 campos de fútbol y cerca de un lago.
And I was like, "No, if we were to speak any Western language, it would most likely be French, since we were colonized by the French, not the Spanish." And then he said, "Oh, by the way, I wanted to tell you, it's not pronounced Algeria, it's pronounced Argentina."
Incapaces de reconocer que se equivocaron. Holy fucking fuckboy.
I had to explain to him that I came from an actual country called Algeria. And then I said, "It's like next to Morocco." And he said, "Where's Morocco?" And I said, "Well, in North Africa." And then there was a blank, and I said, "Yes, I am African."
So let's set the scene. It's early July, and I'm in Marrakesh.
Okay.
I've just checked into this hostel, and I'm sitting on one of these chairs here, by the pool. So this young couple from Georgia sparks up a conversation with me. So the couple invite me up to like the roof, this like roof patio thing, to see the fireworks. So we end up on the roof terrace here, mingling with various nationalities, and the Americans are asking like, "Does anyone know when the fireworks start?" Everyone's a bit confused. Anyway, it transpires that it is the 4th of July, American Independence Day. We're in Morocco. There's maybe like 10 of us all trying to explain to this American couple why they probably don't have fireworks for the 4th of July.
Cuando vaya a Estados Unidos voy a tener que hablar con el guardia, con el tipo en la bueno, en el aeropuerto. Van a tener que hacer una entrevista para asegurarse de que yo no quiera ingresar, para quedarme. tengo que convencer a alguien de que yo no quiero ingresar para quedarme. Y lo que voy a hacer es sacar mi celular, poner este video que estoy reaccionando ahora mismo, ponerle play y que lo vea completo. Y a ver si cree que tengo suficiente aprecio para querer quedarme en los Estados Unidos.
In Marrakesh, Morocco.
So when I was 16, I did an exchange program in the US.
Comentario impopular si eres gringo y popular si no lo eres. Creo que hay que considerar que ser gringo se cataloga como una discapacidad psicológica porque esto ya es otro nivel.
From Brazil for 6 months, and I remember it was December time, and I was telling one of my friends how I had spoken to my parents, and they were at the beach because it was really hot, and you know, it was summer in Brazil at that time. And then she looked me straight in the eyes and asked me, "Oh, so is it July in Brazil now?"
So I live in Cancun, Mexico, and I've been working with American
Dios, se viene uno turbio,
tourism for around 6 years now. And there was this time when a guy in his 40s came to the resort I was working in. It was his first time in Mexico, and he told me he wanted to book some tours. So I started writing down all the tours he wanted to do. He told me he wanted to visit Chichen Itza, Tulum, and Machu Picchu. So I stopped writing.
Hola Leo, escuché tus directos por 6 horas mientras trabajaba hoy. Gracias por hacer mi trabajo más fácil, pinche furro feo.
De nada, Skibidi Sigma.
It's not in Mexico, it was in Peru. And he asked me,
Peru mentioned it! Sí! Yeah.
How much would it take to get there in a taxi? I told him it would take around from 5 to 6 hours by plane. And he was so mad, he began complaining that how come if we also had Mayan ruins, no one told him Machu Picchu was not here.
Les dije que se venía una bastante estúpida.
Curious, what is the dumbest thing an American has ever said to you?
So I'm Mexican.
Otro
and
más.
I was working in Tulum. One day I was talking with this girl, and she said to me, I really wanted to visit Mexico in Cinco de Mayo to see your Independence Day.
¡Feliz 5 de mayo! Día Nacional del Héroe más grande que ha existido en México, Speedy González.
Sorry, what? Yeah, Cinco de Mayo.
Ah, no, espera. Speedy González de hecho es cool. Los gringos lo odian porque creen que es ofensivo.
Your Independence Day? Oh, actually our Independence Day is on September 16. Don't lie to me. I know South American history and I know that Mexico Independence Day, it's on Cinco de Mayo. Well, actually, no. Mexico's North America. And you can Google that. Actually, you can see that Mexico's Independence Day is on September 16. Oh my God, you have Google?
Pensé que todavía se comunicaban haciendo señales de humo. ¿Qué me vas a decir después? ¿Que aprendiste a atarte los zapatos tú solo? ¿Tu jefe no lo hace cada vez que ingresan después de que abandonan sus chozas?
Yes, why? I mean, I'm really surprised that you can speak English and use Google.
Okay, so I'm from Indiana. I'm from the Midwest. Temporarily, though, I used to live in Los Angeles before moving out to the East Coast. So one day I was in LA and I was like, okay, I want to change banks. I no longer wanted to be with the bank I was currently with. So I go in and I went to the teller and I was like, hey, I just want to close my account if that's okay. They're like, yeah, no problem. And I go, perfect. They're like, can we see your ID? I said, yeah. Hand them my ID and they're like, I'm so sorry.
Me quiere por X100. Leo, por favor, por la gloria de la Inca Cola. Si algún día viajas a Estados Unidos y te topas con gringos así, no los corrijas. Trolealos, veamos qué tanto desconcierto puedes provocarles, y si eso se lo creen, y di que en Perú viajan
cabalgando ya más de 3 metros por todo Lima. Sí.
Do you have a United States ID? That's just what we're gonna need to go ahead and confirm. I said, that is my Indiana ID. This is my driver's license. I'm from Indiana. And they said, no, I'm so sorry, but this is not a United States ID. Do you have any other form of ID? They're like, this says Indiana. I go, I know. Indiana is a state. I'm from Indiana. And they said, no, I need to see a United States ID. And I was just like,
y es entre ellos,
sorry, what is our education system?
So I grew up in the States, and when I was 16 years old,
I moved back to Argentina with my family.
Okay.
So a friend of mine messaged me and said, "Oh, I can't believe you moved back." And I told him, "Yes, it's so crazy now here. It's winter time."
Y este es el único directo que Hey Grace se ha perdido. Qué cosas, ¿eh?
And it's the complete opposite of the US, since during the summer in the US, it's winter in Argentina. And he goes, "Oh, it's winter over there? So is it Christmas time now?"
No, esa es Venezuela, hermana. Te estás confundiendo.
And I go, "No, it's August. But isn't Christmas during winter time? So it has to be Christmas now." And I go, "No."
Relaciona las estaciones con las fiestas. Es una forma bastante infantil, pero óptima de relacionar las cosas. Funciona bastante bien en tus tierras, hermana.
"Oh, Christmas is in December."
So I'm an American expat who's lived abroad for over 10 years. And every year I hear other Americans ask, "Why doesn't this country celebrate Thanksgiving?" I tell everyone I'm Canadian.
Haces bien, hermana. Haces bien. Eso.
I once flew from London to Houston, and when I got to the border, the TSA agent took my British passport, my return ticket to London, and then proceeded to ask me, where did I learn how to speak English? And when I kind of said, England, she said, "Oh, you guys speak English out there too?"
One time I was in high school and this girl asked me what I was. I told her I'm Egyptian, my family's from Egypt.
Cool.
She said, "No, tell me the truth, where are you really from?" I told her I'm not lying, I'm from Egypt. She said, "No, you don't understand, Egypt literally doesn't exist."
Alguien no se vio Yu-Gi-Oh, ¿eh? Okay.
And I was like, "No, it actually does. I go there every summer to visit my family." She's like, "No, you don't get it. Egypt literally doesn't exist. The US is the world. There's no other country." I said,
Ok, ya ahí suena que simplemente está intentando ser imbécil. O sea, suena que solo te estaba jodiendo, amiga.
"So what are they teaching us in history then?" She said, "Oh no, those are just stories. Egypt doesn't."
Hoy estoy ahora mismo inhalando una buena dosis de copium intentando justificar esto y simplemente es... ¿Ven lo que les digo? ¿Ven cómo se siente como si estuvieras hablando constantemente con una persona que acaba de fumarse el troncho de marihuana más grande y grueso que pudieron encontrar? ¿Cómo Snoop Dogg estaría envidiando, muriéndose, arrancándose los pelos de envidia de la tremenda cosa que se acaban de meter?
Exist.
So I'm born and raised in the States, but my family's Brazilian, and I would often go back to Brazil to go and visit my other relatives.
Okay.
When I would come back from Brazil and go to school, people would ask me how I was posting stuff. And I would say, "What do you mean?" And they were like, "Don't they not have internet there?"
Oh no, se leyeron ese manga de la latina.
And I would just be completely dumbfounded. And I would say, "What do you mean? Of course we have internet." And they would ask me, "How do you get it?" So I would literally tell them,
Alguien avise al presidente que Brasil nos ha robado conexión.
"Oh, we have a monkey and we bribe him with a coconut and we have him run on a spinning wheel and that's how our internet works." And they believe
Una delicia, este macaquinho me permite conectarme al exinho.
me.
So my family is originally from Peru. I'm the first one in our family that was raised in the States.
Okay.
And a few years ago, I was talking to a coworker about places.
Un peruano, pináculo de la masculinidad, un macho alfa sin ningún tipo de comparación, el sigma latinoamericano.
Where we'd like to live, and I said
que cállense inferiores y escuchen.
I've never really been more than a city kid. Like I've always been either near or in a city. And
Su inglés es casi impecable, por cierto.
Asked me, "Weren't you born in Peru?" And I was like, "Yes." She goes, "Wait, I don't understand. Like, how are you in a city in Peru?
Okay.
And I was like, I was born in Lima, the largest city in the country, and one of the largest in South America.
La ciudad de los reyes, señores.
And she was like, oh, shoot, so it's like a real city with like buildings and stuff? I was like, yes, how did you think I was born? And she goes, well, have you ever seen Emperor's New Groove?
Para ser completamente justos, sería cool que viviéramos así. Sería muy, muy cool que toda nuestra arquitectura y nuestra sociedad sea como las locuras del emperador. Sería bastante badass. Pero así no funciona, hermana.
I thought you were like born in a hut with like a llama next to you. That may be the truth for some, but it's not my truth. Her mind was blown when I said we had cities in South America.
Well, I am from northern Mexico, and 2 years ago I was on the beach. I was talking to an American, and he thought I was British. I think it was because of...
¿Qué tan lejos podría llegar si conozco a una de estas personas y digo, oh, pues bueno, de hecho, de donde yo vengo, Perú, es una tradición que cuando conoces a alguien nuevo le des una bofetada? ¡Pam! O sea... Por cierto, han pasado 10 minutos. Según mi religión peruana, que adoramos al gran dios Ron Ron, tengo que darte un puñetazo en el estómago. ¡Pum! No, Leo, están armados. Sí, pero es mi fe. No vas a parar mis ideales, tradiciones religiosas y culturales, ¿o sí? ¿No te atreverías?
My accent. So I asked him what he thinks about Mexicans.
Por cierto, gracias a los grandes dioses solares que me trajeron hasta aquí en una pájaro de hierro gigante, tengo que comer McDonald's cada 20 minutos o me muero, así que... Y según las antiguas tradiciones de mi gente, los anfitriones de la tierra sagrada, elegida de los cielos, ustedes tienen que comprármelo. ¿Sabes? Sobarles un poco los huevos para que me suelten lo que quiero.
And he said,
¿Funcionará?
Something like this. Well, Mexicans don't prosper because they are dark, short, ugly, eat beans every day, and they have no education. So they have to go to my country. And then I said, what? Are you mental? I am Mexican, bro. There's nothing wrong with being dark. And yeah, I like beans, but today I had lobster for dinner. And I am about 4 inches taller than you.
Leo, tengo una duda. ¿Qué pasa si el emperador muere? Hola, abuelo Tala.
And
No me
by the
pregunto
way,
para ahora.
I think I am
Gracias
more
por la
handsome than you.
Wow. Sí. Le cerraste la boca, amiga. Pero ahí va. No me gusta reaccionar a cortos de TikTok. Me parece que es una forma muy barata de hacer contenido y te lo está diciendo un reaccionador. O sea,
Papito rico.
no podría haber un insulto más grande que eso.
_3035 just resubbed for 5 months.
Pero es que esto es God. Esto es God. Es que es una cosa pero preciosa. Es una cosa pero bellísima.
And the Americans are asking, like, does anyone know when the fireworks start? Everyone's a bit confused. Anyway, it transpires that it is the 4th of July, American Independence
Esto no había terminado de escucharlo.
Day. We're in Morocco. There's maybe like 10 of us all trying to explain to this American couple why they probably don't have fireworks for the 4th of July in Marrakesh, Morocco.
Es como, lo contesto la otra vez, que escuché una historia de un tipo que estaba en la escuela y el niño había llegado un niño estadounidense y el niño estaba súper confundido porque estaba en plan de, ¿y en qué momento nos cuentan la historia del 11 de septiembre? Es una clase importante, ¿verdad? Creo que estaba en Ecuador, en Bolivia, un lugar de esos, y era en plan de... ¿Por qué vamos a contarte ese acontecimiento histórico estadounidense en este país? Dijiste México. Ok, era México. Plan de, what the fuck. ¿Creen que tenemos que hacer un reporte mensual de todas y cada una de las tragedias que han vivido como si el resto de nosotros no hubiera pasado por mierdas duras, boy? No, en serio. Quiero ir a Estados Unidos solamente para probar qué tan cierto o qué tan exageradas son estas afirmaciones. Oye, quizás vuelva con una nueva perspectiva. Quizás les diga, chicos, pues la verdad he estado allí y no está tan mal la cosa, ¿eh? Me han tratado bastante bien, su gente muy amable. He tenido un buen paseo. En ningún momento nadie me ha dicho absolutamente nada malo por mi color de piel. Todo cool, todo cool. Experimentar, sí. Canal en decadencia. ¿Para qué te digo que no? Sí, sí. Bueno, la biblioteca de Edgar de León es un canal pequeño, por favor apóyelo, ha sido una recopilación muy muy graciosa, así que vayan al link en la descripción, denle un like, un bonito comentario, y la biblioteca de Edgar de León, si crees que estoy haciendo mal uso de tu material, me escribes hermano y lo borro, sin pero ni nada, al instante.